Hey everyone, Natalie Antonov here with Gable Music Ventures. We're here with another interview. We have experts that want to give you guys advice on how to get your music career to the next level. We have Brian Walker today, also known as A Day Without Love. Brian has been on a record label. He has toured the country, played festivals like South by Southwest. He's been in publications like AfroPunk and XPN. He has his own podcast. He's also currently working on a documentary and uses his music career to get the word out, to build awareness for mental health, which is extremely incredible. And so we are just really excited to talk to A Day Without Love today. Let's get into it.
How's it going?
I'm really excited to talk to you. How are you doing today?
Doing well, can't complain. Actually, just finished a podcast recording today, and I'm just working on writing some music. So yeah, can't complain.
How did you get your start?
So I was first exposed to music at a very, very early age because my uncle was a hip hop DJ and producer in the Philadelphia area. Like he did a lot of block parties, recorded at Milk Boy Studio before it was called Milk Boy Studio. Can't think of the name of it right now. Worked all very heavily in the local scene. Then he moved to Atlanta and started recording a lot of artists, became friends with some people here and there. And I was just inspired by him, and then also finding out other uncles in my family played guitar, but they did it on a level that like wasn't to what I wanted, but I just knew music was something I wanted to be like doing in my life sometime. But it wasn't until I was 18 that I actually started picking up an instrument, saying like, okay, I'm gonna play the guitar. So 18 to about 19, I was just playing the guitar, and then I made a friend who said, hey, you should probably start singing. And then I went from playing guitar to starting to sing, and then I started to play the bass, and then I started hitting the open mic circuit around 20, 21 years old, and then it just blossomed to like one thing after the other, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a lot more detailed than that, but for the most part, it was just like first the exposure to music in my family, then it started becoming the exposure to music in my community, then to picking up the instrument and going from there.
That's very cool. That's awesome. I love finding out more about how artists really get their start. It's interesting because everybody's story is different and unique. Now you do use your music to talk about a lot of hot button topics, racism and music industry in general, and really mental health awareness among other things. Now, a lot of artists they stray away from that sort of thing, but you don't. And I wanted to know: is there a reason why you feel so strongly about using your platform for this? And do you think that it is kind of incumbent upon all artists or all people with platforms to be able to do that kind of thing as well?
Certainly. So it all starts with the personal. And the reason why I mean what I mean by that is like what I sing about are things that I've experienced. Like, I've been discriminated against. I have depression, anxiety, and I'm a survivor of addiction. I have, had issues with suicide in my past. When it comes to like, socioeconomic inequality, I have a master's degree in business psychology, and I've yet to see business psychology master's degree salaries after 7 years. There's a lot of things that in my world are not right.
Right.
And at the beginning of this project, I wanted to just be about that as an outlet for myself, but I realized I was writing in kind of a self-loathing perspective, like, look at me, I'm sad. And I got tired of saying that. I got tired of being sad. So I had to do a lot of self-care, self-development things for myself, such as like getting sober, such as losing weight, such as like, getting better at my craft professionally and musically. And while I still don't have those things, and I am better than I was, I still think these are topics that need to be talked about. But I try to talk about it not just from my own experience, but as a means to connect with others. Because I think for many years, music has been revolutionary. But for the past 10 to 15 years, people have viewed music as like, it's just entertainment. So, if we get a little too real, like it's not like it's not for you. And I think that's a lie. I think you're almost cheating yourself, because if you look at a lot of the older songs and like songs from a lot of other decades, like music has always been a vehicle for the motion of society. And what I mean by that is like, if the topic is about, the election, it makes sense for, songwriters and storytellers to talk about the election and things like that.
I'm curious. Now you talked about how you had, and maybe you still have, I'm not sure, but those issues with mental health and how you're so big on mental health awareness. I read somewhere that you did this 90-day video challenge. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so you can't find it anymore because I deleted all the videos.
Oh, darn.
And I honestly deleted them just because it was like, all right, these aren't getting views anymore. I mean, they got views. It just was like, I'm 10 times a better singer and guitarist than all of this. Like, if I could do it again, which I can, I would do them better. So it was just really a quality control thing.
Got it.
So I just wanted to disclose that part. But like, I did the 90 and 90 as a way to reset myself as a musician.
Mhm.
My grandfather was dying of cancer during that time. Like, I literally recorded one of the videos the day he died, right after him, like, going to the hospital in my arms. And I don't find myself to be better or you're like, oh wow, look at your mental resilience. It's just like I had to stick to the project, because I really hold myself accountable and responsible to say, if I'm going to do something, go do it.
Mhm.
um but I did that also as a fundraiser for Erica's Lighthouse to raise money for this organization whose mission is to destigmatize mental health and depression and older adolescents and young adults, like in their 20s even up to their 30s. And I recognize that like mental health has in some ways been glamorized. It's kind of turned to like this fashion statement, meaning that like, look at me, I have a picture of whatever, I'm depressed, versus, hey, I'm depressed and I need help and I can't get help because I can't afford it, or because in my community they only help this demographic but not that demographic,
Mhm.
or I need help because my support system won't listen to me. And at different parts of my life, that has been me. Currently I'm not getting help because hashtag I don't have health insurance, but I have found other ways to cope while I'll be able to get myself to get help. And that's like meditation, yoga,
Right.
exercise, healthy diet, things like that. But I really continue to push towards that. And I really did that 90-day challenge because, in recovery, they say it takes 90 days to like, make a change. So I was trying to take 90 days of this campaign to make a change and make a difference in myself. And also to recognize that like, mental health is something that can't be talked about too much, because even if, we covered all the political issues in the society, even if everybody made enough money, there's still mental health issues.
Mhm.
There would still be mental health issues. So.
No, true, definitely, definitely. I think that that's right on the money. It's important to talk about it, and as much as we can, and so that's why you doing that I think was really really cool, honestly. And even that you took it down and all that. At least at the time that you did it, people could use it for helping themselves.
Yep.
I think they would find inspiration in that,
Yep.
or would have had found inspiration in that. So yeah, no, that's really cool. And on a more positive note, you have created a podcast. It's called Dreams Not Memes, and I read a little bit about it, but it sounds like something that helps inspire people and get them to where they're going as well. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started the podcast because I realized like I had an aha moment, like, wow, I'm in Maine, I'm from Philadelphia. Granted, I live like in the suburb of Philadelphia. I was born and raised in like Northwest Philly. Most of my family's in North Philly, like from Kensington, Port Richmond, Harrogate, Allegheny, the whole nine, Olney, all of the Badlands, like that was like, what I was exposed to. And when you grow up in that area, you're kind of told this is it. Like, you're gonna probably die at 25. Like, like that's the reality I was exposed to. But in my mind, I didn't want to accept that reality. And I have other family members that didn't accept that reality. Unfortunately, I have some that did. But the reality is, it's like when you grow up in that environment, you're kind of told, like, you know, you have to push and not become a product of your environment. So being in Maine, kind of realized like I've kind of achieved the stream. Like I'm not that product. So I was with my tour mate slash friend Brandon Bauer, and he was like, "Dude, you should start a podcast. Like you've met so many people and connected with so many people, shared your story and things like that." And I laughed at it because I was like, "Podcasts? No, like this isn't NPR. Like I'm not NPR." And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to start a podcast, I have to make it conversational, educational, and entertaining,
Mhm.
because I think too many podcasts like have this dry tone where it's like, hello, we're on the Gable Venture music blog, and we're going to talk about music. And with music, we're going to talk about drones and tones. And it's like, God, please stop. Like, I'm going to go to bed and might start a car accident. So I had to like make it entertaining.
Uh-huh.
So I started the podcast with the mission of let me interview people that I've either worked with or collaborated with and make it about their background and origin stories as to why they do what they do.
Mhm.
So that was like the first set. Like literally, if you listen to the first episode, I say this is the anti-podcast podcast because I was against the idea of being boring. Then I moved on to interviewing people I collaborated with, people I met on tour. And then I noticed that I wasn't only interviewing musicians, I was interviewing business owners. I was
Mhm.
interviewing people that wanted to be involved in music that, like, didn't know how to help. And I started having other conversations. And then after I started interviewing people on tour, I was interviewing like local activists. And I was like, you know what? I should just make this podcast about me interviewing people around the world. So then pandemic happened, and I changed the mission to not just people that work with me, but let me interview people from all different careers, passions, professions, and levels of activism about their journey and why they do what they do. And I want to make it 1,000 interviews with people from all around the world. So the goal is for people to go to my podcast as like this audio encyclopedia on different careers and walks of life, so they could be motivated and learn about why they do what they do. And I feel like it still connects with A Day Without Love, because as a musician, A Day Without Love is like my journal or diary of my relationship with the world and how I want to be better and want to encourage other people to be better.
Mhm.
Dreams Not Memes is a collection of stories of how other people are existing in the world and how they want to make the world better. So it's not about me, it's about them. So
Got it. Got it. No, that's really cool how it evolved throughout that time, from what it started to just including everyone and that goal of 1,000 episodes.
mhm.
Where are you on that right now?
So I'm I have 223 published today, and I will be
Nice.
publishing 224 today. Um, in my back catalog, I have about 18, so that puts me at about 240 episodes roughly. Wait, 242 episodes. Yeah,
Solid. Well,
yeah.
keep that up, man. Get to
Thank
that
you.
1,000.
Thank
We're
you.
rooting for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I'm 37 countries away from finishing the Western Hemisphere, and then I'll be halfway, and then I'll do the other side of the world. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, this is actually a perfect kind of connection with my next kind of topic I wanted to talk about, which was the level of collaboration that you've done in the past. And this is clearly another example of how you are a collaborator. And a lot of people aren't really sure what the benefit of collaborating with other people is. I wanted to see what your perspective on collaboration is, and what does that bring to the table for you.
Certainly. So I think the benefits of collaboration is getting out of the box.
Mhm.
And I don't mean a pentatonic or a major. I mean the rut in the box of just feeling like you're only one thing. I think around 2014, 2015, I got tired of the idea that I was only an emo or a pop punk or a DIY artist. Like I like punk, I still play punk, but I'm so much more than that. Like, I'm not really any of those because, like, one, I'm sober. I don't eat pizza as much as I would like to because I'm lactose intolerant. I'm black. Like, I live in the suburbs, but I'm not from the suburbs. Like, there's just so much different about me, right? And I mean, I don't think that makes me better, but it's just sticking to one thing would not be me. So I think collaborations kind of gives you a home to explore those things that like you couldn't do if you were only doing one thing. So that's the first benefit.
Hmm.
The second benefit on kind of an organizational business level is you're expanding yourself to different audiences. You know, people are hearing your sound and you kind of build confidence in yourself because like if you only stick to one thing, you think you could only play to one type of person. But then when you start collaborating with other people, your music kind of is more accessible to other people
Hmm.
versus like going, oh, well, I can only play with the top 10 like famous, you know, insert genre here artist in my area. And that's really going to limit you versus, oh, well, I could play guitar here, I could play banjo there, maybe I could rap here, maybe I could sing there, maybe I could just scream. Like, and then that leads to the next thing. It makes you more creative. So when you're in the studio, you know you have something to add no matter what. So
That
those are
makes
my big three. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I especially you know, bringing up how you wouldn't know otherwise if you didn't try, kind of thing. You
Sure.
know, I think that's really big for a lot of people that kind of pigeonhole themselves, like you said, in one space or another. Now, a lot of musicians also don't really know, or maybe they're afraid of reaching out, or maybe they just don't know what to say. They're not afraid, but they just don't know what to say. Do you have any advice on how someone might you know, write an email or somehow contact someone like you, for example, to start a conversation about collaborating?
Oh, totally, totally. So I would say it's like a really much like a three-part process. Talk about your idea. Also talk about like what you have to offer to the table. Talk about promotion, and then lastly, talk about how you're going to pay the artist.
Hmm.
Like I'm always flexible to say, do you want this to be a session work where I just play guitar for you?
Hmm.
All right, well then pay me, you know, sliding scale $1 to $500 and give me a royalty, you know. Oh, you want this to be a collaboration where this is a shared project? All right, well, let me skip the studio fee and let's just work on this thing from the ground up. We're splitting the fees associated with promotion, but I get 50-50 royalties. You know, like always be willing to be flexible and explain what you need to offer. Because keep in mind, creatives are, you know, workers too. So like talk about the promotion side, the creative side, because sometimes people say collaboration, but really they mean a session worker.
Got it. Okay.
And sometimes people say collaboration, but they really need a bandmate. You know, so like really be honest about your intentions. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So is it easier to just email someone straight out, or do you have to meet? You want to go out and meet that person first, or how would you do
well,
that?
there's no meeting because we're in a pandemic.
Nope. You got that. Got me on that.
But I always say try to schedule a call, try to schedule a chat, look at how the person likes to be contacted. And also musicians should also have their contact information very obvious to them.
Mhm.
Like, you know, if you go on my Instagram, if you go on my website, emails the way, you know,
Got it.
because like I wake up with 20 to 40 DMs every day. And it sucks, you know. So I'd rather just use email. But the next person might be like, I hate email, DM me. So it everyone's different, but
Yeah. Yeah, but just look for what that person wants, basically.
exactly. Yep.
You'll be good to go. Got it.
Yep.
Do you you did mention the DIY kind of music scene part of your life. Um that is notoriously challenging to do. Uh, what do you find to be one of the most challenging things about that? And would you suggest that to artists just starting out, or maybe wait a little bit, or how would you give advice for someone who wants to do DIY?
True. So speaking for me, I
Hmm.
would say being black is the challenging part. And I say that because the DIY world is extremely passively aggressively white. And what I mean by that is like people will say we're accepting of everyone, and then if someone outside of the norm comes into the house or the art space, there's whispers happening, or they didn't get invited to the yacht club and things like that. Or you'll see the passive aggressive language happening on Twitter or whatever platform. But I will say for the masses, like if someone wanted to get involved, I would say keep your ear to the ground, keep your ears to Bandcamp,
Hmm.
and literally look for bands and do that deep digging and try to see how you can connect your dots. Because I think the way I found community is through collaboration and through always expanding my arms and seeing who can I meet. Because like me then, it truly felt like discrimination. Me now, I am discriminated against, but I still have a family now. I have people that have my back. There are people that would like share the stage or go on tour with me, and that took a lot of work, like probably more so than like your average non-black musician.
Hmm.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that like you have to find your tribe, and not give up on that, because you can't really do much without a tribe.
Is it harder now during COVID-19 to do those sorts of things with your tribe, even just like talk to them via Zoom, do music with them? I know there's a lot of programs you can do music over, this kind of situation, but is it much harder, or are you guys just figuring your way around it?
Well, I was able to release a few songs during this pandemic, and also finish songs. And by a few songs, I did 13 releases last year, so it was more than a few.
Solid.
But I was able to like send files back and forth, and I think it really comes down to it's difficult in the sense of you might have to fine tune a few things, technically speaking, but you could always have that conversation of like, hey, what DAW do you use? What type of mics do you have? And things like that. But you can still do it. Like you could still write an album remotely. Is it preferred? No, but it's definitely possible. I think the band Sound of Animals Fighting before the pandemic recorded their albums remotely while they were on tour, you
Hmm.
know? So, I mean, keep in mind, these are like really huge people like RX Bandits, Chiodo, Circus Survive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
Um, so it's possible. You just don't get the homey vibe of like drinking seltzer with your buds and playing your music. So yeah.
Now, a little earlier, you were mentioning some of the stuff you do to kind of keep yourself grounded. You mentioned meditation, I think, and yoga. A lot of successful people like yourself, they have routines throughout the day, that they might do to kind of either set the tone or reset or whatever. Can you kind of walk me through what you do and why you do that kind of thing?
Certainly. So I always try to keep it smart. And what I mean by that is Locke and Latham, they're two researchers who set this motivational theory called the SMART goal theory. And it's a model used for setting goals. And I do it for my short term and my long term goals.
Mm.
So every quarter I look at my like goal sheet for the year and make sure that I'm sticking to that. But every day I use the Notepad app and I write down my goals for the day. Like, what am I going to do today? And I think about what exactly am I going to do. Sometimes it's one word, sometimes I make it specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. That's what it means to keep it smart.
Okay.
And I use that as a model, as a way to like coach myself or motivate myself to get it done. So like today is Thursday, so my goals are have this interview with you, work on my book, exercise, eat, vocal practice, list some products on Reverb, do some press follow up, and apply to some jobs. That's my goals just for today, right?
Mhm.
And then anything else, I'm not doing anything else. That's all I'm gonna do. So I also like try to divide what I do to hard yeses and hard no's. Hard yeses are the things I write down to get done, and hard no's are the things that like I could do, but I probably won't do it. Meaning like, I could bake a cake today, but I'm not probably not going to do it. I really don't want to bake a cake. That's just an example. Um, and then lastly, I never commit more than 90 minutes to each task.
Interesting. And why is that?
So while the attention span research is different because, attention spans are wobbling every year due to technology. I'm pretty sure TikTok's really killing people's attention spans. That's just a side note. I do believe that some of my most productive times in my life were in high school, college, and grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized most of those courses were 90 minutes long.
Hmm.
And I got a lot done during those days. So to maintain that steam, I say no more than 90 minutes to a task. It doesn't mean that my task will take 90 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't take longer than 90 minutes before I take a break, such as like, all right, do a 10-minute yoga series just to get your hips moving, or crank out some push-ups, work on some weights and something like that. So,
by the way, I love how you put eat in your list of things to do for today, because I think that's super important. And people,
yeah.
I don't put that on my list of things to do, but I think I'm going to start because it's actually really easy to forget to eat during
It's totally, yeah. 100%. Before the pandemic, during the pandemic, like you could have a day where you're like, man, I had 10 calls today. Did you eat? No. Wait. Oh, so yeah, it's important.
Exactly. No, it happens to be several times a week. And I really do. I think I just need to schedule it. I need to just make a point of putting it on my to-do list for today. Go eat. Because if you don't eat, you're not helping yourself out. You're making it really hard to get everything else done after that.
Correct.
I always ask my interviewees the same question here. What is one thing that you would tell your past self, knowing what you know now, to make your journey a little bit easier?
Stick to the goals and don't worry about what other people think, or what everyone else is doing. I think social comparison theory is so common for everyone. Like, it's easy to do what some people call doom scrolling. That's another thing. I don't doom scroll at all.
You're strong.
And what I mean by that, and the reason why, is because I have so much content that I have to post. If I started doom scrolling, I literally would be losing my productivity. So like I might look at certain people's profiles to see what they're up to. And usually those are people that I'm working with in the here and now.
Okay.
But otherwise, I don't doom scroll. That's a productivity killer. But just speaking about motivation for my past self and present self, it's really just like, think about what you want and why you want it. And that is like, and when you close the gap between what you are and what you want to be, when those start matching, that's when you're successful. It's not about, do you have 5 million streams? It's not about, did I get featured on Billboard? It's not about, I got the approval of everyone. It's about, did you approve yourself? And then once you approve yourself, I would say the next step is, how can you help other people approve themselves? Because I would never want to create any type of content that makes people feel like they're not enough. And that's just my truth.
Man, I love everything you're saying. I think that is such a great piece of advice, man. I really do. Before we end here, where can people find you online?
You can find me on almost every social media platform under A Day Without Love. YouTube / A Day Without Love, TikTok, A Day Without Love Band, Instagram, A Day Without Love, Spotify, A Day Without Love. I have many, many, many songs available. Feel free to put it on your playlist. If you want to get some merch, I have merch available on adaywithoutlove.com, as well as A Day Without Love Bandcamp. I have sweatshirts available. I eventually will start having more shirts available. And I also have a book coming out in a few weeks, and the documentary coming out this summer, and an album coming out in the fall. So yeah.
Wow. Well, you keep up with all that, man.
Thank you.
We're really rooting for you. I really appreciate this. This conversation was awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really. I mean, I learned so much, and I love your positivity and outlook, and keep up the work with the mental health awareness stuff. I think that's
Thank you.
Super important. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. This was A Day Without Love. I'm Natalie Antonov. This is Gable Music Ventures. If you like what you saw, please go ahead and comment below. Smash that bell wherever it is. Go ahead and let us know. Did we cover all the questions you wanted? Is there any other questions you have? Anybody else you want us to talk to? We want to hear from you. So let us know. But for now, we're done, and we'll see you next time. Peace.